we spoke, yet only with our eyes. Now is the time to choose. Somebody wins and some lose. I can see through your disguise. Lay it down, hope for something better. Looking at the clouds, the cyber and the weather. You can't keep this up. The lies are just too much. Kick back, start another fire. Looking at the clouds, making shapes that you admire. And you can't stop it now, 'cause you don't know how. And you can't stop it now.
Alright guys, what's up? Long time no see. Let me turn the music down a little bit. Hopefully that should be moderately bearable. I'm just trying to sort out my audio here. Anywho, how's it been? Sorry it's been so long since I've done a video. I just wanted to do a quick stream tonight. Nothing too long, just to talk about what to expect for the rest of the year and early next year. Some know, some don't. I've been out of it for a little while. Me and my wife, we just bought a house not too long ago. Actually, let me just go ahead and move this camera a little closer for you. But yeah, me and the wife, we bought a new house at the end of April, and just been getting everything, caught up since we've been here. So that's been part of it. But then, actually, let me just turn off the music for now. My ADHD is kicking in a little bit. Um, but we've just been catching up, learning, because it's our first home that we've ever bought. But then I also have been working on some other things. I actually just started going back to school, but then I also got hurt at work. So nothing too extreme. I've been off work since, let's see, since September now. And I'm actually almost ready to go back, I think. Um, I actually fell a little over 12 feet from an attic while I was at my customer's house. Um, could have been worse, could have been better. But right now I'm dealing with a small, well, not so small, but dealing with a back injury. Anywho, back to focusing on the mods. I'm still doing my, casual tinkering, so I'm still just tweaking things. Sometimes it's software, sometimes it's hardware, sometimes it's something altogether different. Um, so that being said, I I'm going to go over a few of the projects that I'll be working on next, or continuing to work on for well, one of them at least, two of them. Continuing to work on for two of them, but the and then also something that I'm considering doing, and if anyone has any interest, let me know. But so first, I'll go ahead and start going over some of the projects that I will be working on next. So first up rather, is my DSi. Really? Give me 1 second. I would drop the camera. I lent my wife a different charging cable that I normally have hooked up to this phone, so the second I pulled it, oh, you saw what happened. So, the first project up, which a lot of you, if you've been here before, or familiar with some of my past works, have seen this before. It is my DSi XL Zero. It is a Raspberry Pi with, or I mean, it is a DSi with a Raspberry Pi um, 0W inside of it, and it will be running RetroPie. A lot of you thought that I actually already completed this, and in truth, I had. But what I ran into was whenever I went to close this stupid thing, there was too much bulk, too much wiring, so it wouldn't close properly. So I pulled it back apart, gutted out a lot of the wiring, cleaned up a lot of the wiring too. But as you can see here, I started putting like flat ribbon cables to thin it down quite a bit, which it sounds easy until you go to work with this wire that might as well be trace repair wire. It's real cheap, very friable, but it does work and it gives a very thin footprint. And it looks like one of my wires either snapped or was never attached to begin with. So I'll figure that out next time I actually go to work on this thing. Um, so I'm going to show you how close we're talking here. Let me grab, which another thing I want to talk about tonight is just some of my tools and show off, like, just because it's, rednecked-ish, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. This one, I'll let you decide what you will. So, let me go ahead and zoom in here, and let's see, get a reference. So, that tells you how tiny the wires are, is just looking at, how thin they are compared to, I don't know if these are up, down, left, right, or if these are A.B.S, X, or whatever the button out for the DSi is. But either way, it's not fun. Okay, so that'll be one of the first projects I finished up next. And then The thing about that is I mainly started out with the project just to say that I could do it. Um, Now to further explain just some popular questions I have. Yes, it does close almost all the way, if not all the way. It's got a composite top screen. There is no bottom screen. There is a plate that the Pi is attached to along with some other components, and it captures the heat and dissipates it. So you don't have to have, a heatsink relay at all on top, but I put this one here just because. Um, but since I started working on this guy, um, it's actually one of my favorite builds so far. Um, One of my longer builds, but one of my favorite builds so far. Um, my hands are too big, so it doesn't fit comfortably in my hands versus what I would want. I grew up on the PS1 controller, so once I finish this guy, I will actually be putting him up for sale to basically cover the cost to rebuild my original Raspberry Pi project. One of the first things that got me started with Raspberry Pi. Um, it is, I call it Project Y.A.P.S. So let me go ahead and move this guy out of the way. And what Y.A.P.S is yet another Pi station. So don't mind him too much right now because he's kind of exploded in pieces. But what it was, at least the original scope of the project, was I had a Raspberry Pi inside of this with a 1 terabyte hard drive. I'll be replacing it with an SSD eventually. An internal mono speaker. Um, Here's where it differs from some other Pi stations that you may have seen in the past. Um, wow. Oh, I've just got the sneezes. Where it differs from, oh, what do you call it? Pi stations that you may have seen in the past is some of them do have this, some of them don't, but it does have active cooling over here on the side with a custom heatsink that I originally built this for the 3B, not the B plus, not the A or any of that, the 3B. But then another thing that you sometimes see on Raspberry Pi stations is controller support. It does work with original Sony controllers. Where it starts to differ. First off, I put a screen in the lid so that whenever it closed, it looked like a normal PlayStation until you opened it, and it had the screen. And you could, literally just game read on it, just like how you could with the original PS1, which I hated. Well, PS1 Slim, as some people call it, but PSONE, those things. So, put a screen in it, and also it had batteries right here. It had I think, oh crap, I want to say between 14 and 16,000 milliamp hours of lithium cells. That way you could literally just carry this thing around, carry a PS3 controller with you, and you could game anywhere. So I'm going to change some of that, possibly. I don't know, but that'll all still be staying the same. I'm not taking away any original functionality. Let's put it that way. But then the two things that to my knowledge, I have not seen in another PS Pi that this build did have. It had where it could actually read and write two authentic memory cards using an Adreno. I found a library to where I could actually do like you could rip or write from memory card 1 or memory card 2. And then also I had set it up to where whenever you would launch a PS1 game, it would automatically rip the memory card to a memory card file. The game would load the emulator, and it would load that memory card file, and then it would go, oh, here's your games, blah, blah, blah. Then after you changed and everything, and after you safely exited the game, it would write it back to the memory card. A lot of people had never seen that. I had never seen it. Thought it was something fun to do. The other thing that this one did that I don't know of any other PS1s doing, while I couldn't get it to work in real time, I kind of did a little workaround. I put in a USB CD drive or DVD drive, whatever, and I made a script that would rip the PS1 game to an ISO, and then you could play the ISO. So that way, you are genuinely playing PS1 games. Um, and all the games that I have on this, I legitimately have the games. That way I could, say, well, I'm not violating copyright law, blah, blah, blah. It's not that I'm worried about it. It's just kind of the feel of it, the nostalgia feel. So this will be my project after the DSi XL is complete. Um, it'll be my major project, rather. Now, a few small side projects that I don't know when I'll work on any of them or blah, 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 is these ones are ones that might come before or might not come before the DSi. Well, no, I really want to get the DSi finished, but one of these side projects might come before it. It all depends on what everybody wants and what I'm really just in the mood for. So first up is the PS2. It's nothing new. Ooh, Fat Boy heavy. But I mean, we're all familiar with what a PS2 is. One, I have what do you call it? I have this old Fat Boy here that previous owners did not take the best of care of them. If you can't see, there's burn mark here, lots of scratches. So I might tweak the case on it. But then also, I'm probably going to do some retro gaming mods. So the what do you call it? A lot of people do it where they either have backups on a jump drive or some of them have hard drives. But then they always do it with a memory card, and I just can't stand that. I hate the fact that to know that I have to put everything on my memory card to bypass it. So one of the first things I'll do is make a video showing. I mean, there are videos of it, but people have asked, and I was gonna do like a couple of mod videos for the soft modding wise for the PS2 Fat. This one has a network adapter on the back with it's an OEM network adapter, but it's got a SATA conversion mod. So you pull out the IDE board, you put in the SATA board, and boom, I've got a 2.5 drive, I think like a 500 gig SATA drive in there right now. And then I don't need the memory card to play my games. I literally just load everything up, and boom, it's good to go. So that I just like that better. It's if you're already intending to use a hard drive, I don't see a reason why you should have to use a memory card as well. But that's just me. So I'll make a few videos with that. Might do a shell tweak on it, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So, on to the next little side project, which a lot of people did have some interest in this one. I'm not sure if this is going to be the laptop I choose or if it's just going to be some other random one, but oh, give me one second. I just realized my top cam is out of focus again because I moved the distance. Oh, no, it's just blurry. Okay, awesome. There we go. So the thing I'm going to do with this video, or not video, I'm sorry, I get distracted very easily. Thing I'm going to do with either this laptop or one of the other ones that I have around here is pull out the guts out of an obsolete laptop. Assuming that I don't pick one that's just dead entirely. But then keep the screen, keep the keyboard, and replace the main board with a Raspberry Pi. Now, why would I do that, you wonder? Simple. I can. No, I'm kidding. The reason I would do it, I know there's tons of things out there, but this is literally stuff I already have on hand versus going out and spending what is way too much for an HDMI display, in my opinion. But basically making a sleeper laptop. And by sleeper, I mean it would, if you're familiar with, a lot of people know them for the NVIDIA Shields or the Steam boxes. But what I would do is I'd put a Raspberry Pi in this with lithium cells, give it a crap ton of battery life from all the space you free up by getting rid of the main board. And I would have it basically be a thin client for my desktop. So I could have my laptop here or anywhere around here, honestly, like around my house rather. I could actually take it out in public as long as I'm on a good enough connection, and as long as I'm not playing like a competitive FPS like CS:GO, you can actually play games from remote locations with minimal lag. Um, I was playing World of Tanks um, here in Ohio on my brother's TV with a Raspberry Pi 3 while my desktop was located in Johnson City, Tennessee. Yeah. So it and you didn't notice it on anything but competitive FPSs. So that'll be one of my next, well, not next projects, but one of my projects to come is putting a Raspberry Pi in here. That way it's, gaming laptop, but realistically there's, it's running off the desktop that no one sees. So that'll be another project. So that is the end of the projects that I can think of at the moment. However, there is one tool project I have, and then, well, a whole nother hobby that I'll be investing in. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch over to my camera. Well, yeah, I'll do it on my camera, my bad. So first things first, I'm gonna show the one tool that's my project rather, just because I don't want to move it. And then so I'm gonna show the tool that's my project, and then show after I show that, I'm gonna show the rest of my new work area now that I've got the new house. Just because I've got some new toys and tools and other things like that. This is where I'm also going to show the makeshiftery of my workspace. So let me switch over to Freeview. My router went on the fritz earlier, so I've got to change an IP address real quick. Hey, there we go. Except for we are upside down. Hope no one gets motion sickness. Okay, so real quick, I'll go over the rest of the stuff here in a moment, but this is my new T12 station. It's got the generic T12 soldering iron kit that you see here. A lot of you guys see them in pre-built units where it'll either have the power supply internally or externally. But then the other side of it is a variable power supply. So there's a 24 volt 15 amp power supply inside of this. This will be my set voltage, so I'll be able to set the the voltage in amps right here, and then set whatever I want the volts to. but then on this side, it'll be the enabled side. So this switch right here will enable it. It'll kick on, and then what you'll see is that, what do you call it? It'll kick on, and then you'll see the real voltage and current draw in real time. This one down here is my fan setting, so I plug in a little, well, I've got the fan right here. These are what I use for fume extractors. They're hurricane fans or hurricane fans. They're from floor dryers at fast food restaurants. But this actually works, so this I can show you. But I just take my little wire here, and let me just go ahead and turn this all the way down, because I don't know if you've ever seen one of these floor dryers in action, but fans are pretty powerful. 1 second. Alright, so let's go ahead and give her some juice. So, yeah, if you can't hear that, it works pretty well. So that's what I use for extracting my fumes whenever I'm soldering. So even though there's all of that, this has some other functionality, which is why I wanted to show you this first. So yes, I'll be able to see on that display on the right what voltage and everything is. But let me change views here for a moment. And okay, so maybe it will. Give me 1 second, I just gotta verify this thing's on. Alright. Okay, so that should be on. Oh, I bet I just have to I'm not sure why that's not working, actually. I'm wondering if there's a video over top of it. No? So, every time, I swear. HTTP. No clue why that's not pulling, but anyways, let me see if I can't get a I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of annoying, but yeah, there's a little microcontroller inside that guy that actually gives the voltage and current using a shunt, measuring it across the shunt resistor. So gives real time, that way you guys can see voltage and current draw in real time. So anywho, now I'll go ahead and move on to the rest of my what do you call it? The rest of my setup, and mind the the jankiness of it. But over here I've got my hot air workstation. It was actually one of my first soldering iron stations. I burned up the iron a long time ago, but the heat gun of it still works just fine. You already saw the fan and the T12 soldering station, but here's the other station that I will be primarily using, which is an Xtronic 3020. I think it's an XTS or something like that after it. It's a very, very good soldering iron. It's a 75-watt soldering iron station. Which actually, since I'm talking about soldering, I've I've got the T12 there in the holder. I've got a generic hardware store soldering iron, and then I've got a oh, just the Weller plug-in ones, Weller WP25. So got my Weller 20 feet or WP25. I got it off of a buddy. The tip's pretty exhausted, but then finally, the Extronic soldering iron there on the back. Some possibly thinking about making a video just comparing those four. The uh, the tips on the Weller and the hardware store are garbage. I'll see what I can do about that. But then on to the next tool, my modified USB microscope. The flex mounts that come with these scopes are great for the price, but the things that they come with, the little flex mount that rotates up and down like on a flexible metal pipe, are garbage. So I just have it on an old lamp base and have the wire routed up and out of the way. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But then up here I've got my two lights. I only really use the one, but so you got the incandescent style lamp on the right. Then you've got the magnifying glass fluorescent style lamp on my left, your right. The camera's flipped, I'm sorry. So the what do you call it? The top camera that you see like my projects on is actually an old Galaxy S4, literally command stripped to the top of that or to the bottom of that light rather. So that's just one of the tools I am working with. And then finally, last but not least, tool wise, at least I can think of for the night, would be the latest edition that I definitely have to thank someone for. I will say who that is here in just a moment, but it is a G-Tech i3. It's a 3D printer if you don't know what it is. But I've already got it hooked up for Octopi or Octoprint Octopi with a little webcam to monitor the prints as they go. So that is some of the stuff I will be working with. Now, give me 1 second to close this out. Sorry, I just don't like leaving that app running on my phone. Because it kills your battery. So, the G-Tech i3. I have to give an amazing shout out to a very wonderful person. His name is Matt Farmer. A lot of you guys know who he is. And he is also the owner of Akuma Mods. So the link for that will be in the description. Please check out his page. He offers a lot of help to the community as well as services. And then the what do you call it? From here on out, I will be posting to my page, but then I'm mainly going to be focusing on a new community because a lot of the communities that I am part of currently are, let's just say, something that no longer attracts me. So I'm not saying names, I'm not saying who did what, yada yada, but I will be focusing on a new page, and that page is still getting used to the new name. New name, get it? But no, from here on out, I will be posting to my Tinkerman's page, and I will mainly be focusing on retro new age. I will have the link to that page in the description, and I encourage anyone to check it out and join it if you haven't. Ever since some things came to market, there's been a lot of hostility in the groups that I'm currently in, and I will still occasionally post to those groups, and I have no hard feelings against the people that are in those groups, but I will be moving to the retro new age group. And then also, as far as community goes, I will definitely be doing some dual streaming with Matt Farmer and Renegade Labs, Steve. So I will have links to their pages as well. I encourage you guys to check them out. Um, However, that's all I've got for tonight. It's just where I'm going moving forward. And feel free to message me if you have any questions or comment. Have a good night, guys.